You're a well-known person around Letterkenny, but tell me something about your background. Were you born here in Letterkenny?
I was born in Burma Road in Letterkenny on the 12th of April 1940. My mother was Molly Larkin. Her father was Crown Clerk in Letterkenny, and my granny, Lizzie McLean, was his secretary in the office. And my great-grandfather was John Larkin, and he was a teacher, and he was a head school teacher down in Bannock, but he came from Enniscrone and he eventually came to Letterkenny. I know my great-grandmother was a Mary Loftus, and she came from Galway. My father's father was Michael Blake, and he was head attendant in St Connell's Hospital, and my granny was Sally Coyle. They had 9 children, and my granny died when Daddy was 7, and he was the middle one of the family.
And when you say Letterkenny and the back road, was the back road kind of the outskirts of Letterkenny at that stage?
There would have been Ballymacool Terrace. It was built, I think, in 1939, and then the back road was built after that. And I was born in 9 Plunkett Boyle. I think there was 9. There was about 14 houses there. When my mother and father, Daddy worked in the ESB in the powerhouse. They had one room in number 9 which belonged to Mary McGrath and Toll. Mary was the cleaning lady in the school, and Toll was the bailiff, and he is famous for raffling the town clock.
How do you mean raffling the town
clock? He
clock?
raffled the town clock in the square, and somebody came to collect, whoever won it came to collect it, and he says, "Up there, take it with you." Right. It was a huge clock. It was a beautiful big clock on the market square, you know. That was always on the market square before the tea rooms were there, and it's just sun the way the market square is today.
And what did somebody do with a town clock? Where did they?
Town clock. It was he raffled it. It was an actual huge monument.
Right.
And he was a con man.
Yeah,
you could put it like that. But he was also the bailiff.
Right.
And they lived there. And John and I were born there. And then, when I was 4, we went over to Bump Coils, which was my father's uncle's place, on Lower Main Street. And eventually we came up to the Burma.
Right.
And we're here since 1945.
And the Burma, where we are now,
is Ard O'Donnell, and it's called after Cardinal O'Donnell, who was a great friend of my grandfather's, because he was building the cathedral at the time, and my grandfather was Protestant, but he did all the books for the cathedral. Yeah. And my great-grandfather was very great with Cardinal Logue, and he translated a lot of stuff from English into Irish for the late Cardinal Logue. But apparently when Cardinal Logue was made Cardinal, he took all the diocesan stuff with him to Armagh. And when my mother was a child, Cardinal O'Donnell used to come down the back road every day and walk out to the golf links, which was right at Creve, and he used to take her by the hand for a walk. She used to sit on the step waiting for him. Right. And he used to take her for a walk.
Well, when you say the place now that you call the Burma itself, where did that name come from?
The Burma came from, the Burma War was going on when this place was being built. Right. And there's a Conahan man up. Can you delete this about when I can't get it?
Yeah, that's fine. Doesn't matter.
No, there was two. They used to, the boys used to go across the field here to go down to the foundry,
Right.
and it was just fields, and they were making the road here, and some of them christened it the Burma Road, and it stuck to it. And it was because the war was going on in Burma in the 1940s, and that's where it got its name.
Right. And at that time, when kids growing up in the Burma or Ardadano, where did you guys go to school?
Just over the road. The boys' school was up there to the right, and the girls' school was over beside the cathedral.
And the girls' school is now the building up beside the Bishop's Palace.
That's right.
That was the girls' school over there.
And it was the girls' school in Columbus.
And they were separated out, boys and girls.
Oh, boys and girls. Well, up to first class, the boys stayed there. I think they made the first communion, and then they graduated over to the brothers' school. Then,
And then there was a natural progression. The boys would have went on to St. Eunan's.
St. Eunan's.
And was the convent was there for the girls at that stage?
The convent was there for the convent was there for the girls. That was there from the 1800s.
All right. And what was it like growing up in Letterkenny at that stage as a young girl?
Well, we all played out the front. There wasn't that much. The pictures, we used to go to the cinema. We used to have matinees on Wednesday and Saturday, and we used to go to the matinees.
Where was the cinema at that time?
It was down opposite the grill. You know where the grill is now, down there,
right.
That's the cinema was. And it used to be tuppence to get in, and it went up to fourpence, and none of us had the fourpence, we had to go home. I remember that well, and there was a serial on one time, Naoka and Larry, and we had to get down to that for all those six episodes.
Right. And who were the big film stars at the time that you remember?
Oh, goodness me.
Do you remember?
Well, I just can't recall. I wasn't thinking of those lines.
Right.
But just cowboys, it was all cowboys and Indians.
Right.
That was the main pictures.
Yeah.
And Paddy Carberry used to go around with a torch and keep us all under control and said you couldn't move for Peggy to come and he used to call him blowhard, and he used to keep us in tow. But before that, there was a Sweeney man who did the same job, and Charlie Maguire, who lived down here in Government Terrace. He was the manager of the cinema, and he used to click his fingers to the front of it. The queues used to be up to the top of the Port Road in the years gone by.
Right.
If there was a good film on, they would have been up there.
Right.
A packed house every night.
And as you growing up as a young girl in Letterkenny, I mean that was shortly after the war, and were things tough then, or?
Well, we've got enough to do it, and there was never any want in anything, you know.
Right.
Everybody got enough. I mean, everybody baked bread. The man came round. The milk was delivered in the morning. Susie Callan brought the milk up morning and evening, and the coal man came once or twice a week. And if the coal went up a penny, they were all out shouting at him. And Eddie Tinney and Paddy Tinney used to deliver spuds to us, and they measured them in oatmeal cans. And if they went up a penny, and Ed might have been up a penny a day, they went and you got them for Paddy to save the penny.
And when you say Oatfield cans, was that the factory?
The factory.
And was that a big part of Letterkenny at that time?
Oatfield was a big part of Letterkenny from it ever started.
Right.
They started down the Port Road where Tinney's of the shop, and there's a wee plaque there now. But Mama used to always tell us that she used to go to the circus down the Port Road every year, and they would be looking in the gate to see them making the sweets in Oatfield. And then she used to come up, and there was a man, I think she told me he was McLaughlin, and my granny used to give him his dinner every Sunday. And when she would be going up from the circus, she would go on to him, and he would have a new pair of shoes for her. And she was the only one in the town would have this pair of shoes because he bought them especially for her when this traveller would be around.
Right. So was for young people growing up, was Oatfields kind of where most people would have gone to work, or was there other opportunities?
No, there was very few opportunities now.
Right.
But Oatfield did give everybody a chance. I don't think they ever refused a person a job.
Right.
They were marvellous.
And it was considered a good job?
Oh, it was considered a job, surely.
Right.
It was a good job. They paid good wages and they looked after their staff. Now, the McNabs across the street, Joe McNab, he was from Oma, or that direction, and he had 5 daughters, and they all worked in Oatfield.
Right.
And every Christmas they came with Christmas presents to them, and they used to go. Ira and Ruth always came here with boxes of sweets on the 8th December. And in latter years, they loved coming here because there was always a fire on.
Yeah.
And they would have spent the afternoon here. They're both gone now too.
Right. But for somebody now that's been, here all your life in Letterkenny, you must have seen some changes over the years.
Changes? Oh my goodness me. I was out at Woodlands yesterday, I couldn't believe it. And I was just saying to Pascal coming down, Cardinal O'Donnell, when he built the cathedral, he always said that Letterkenny would thrive around the cathedral, And I was saying to Pascal yesterday, there's Cardinal O'Donnell's prophecies fulfilled. I said, I can't believe it. See, these things were all talked about when I was growing up.
Right.
Because the cathedral was only, it was 40 or 50 years old. And then Mammy went to school in Stephen's Green. Her mother died in February 34 and her father died in November. And she was sent to Loretta College in Stephen's Green. And Cardinal O'Donnell's sister was the mistress for schools and took great time with her. And Mammy had the whole history of the cathedral from her home days as well.
Right.
And I was speaking to Father, one of the priests there one day, and I said to him, do you know the history of those windows up at the back of the chapel? And he said, no, the big ones up at the top are all the life of our Lord, and the lower ones are the life of Our Lady and the Our Lady's altar. And you see, all this stuff's all forgotten.
Right.
It should have been, it may be recorded somewhere, but I heard it all from Mammy growing up,
Yeah. It's such a beautiful building as well, isn't it?
It's beautiful. Well, my grandfather, he gave the oration for the people of the town at the opening of the cathedral.
That was 1906, wasn't it?
I don't know, can't just round about that. And then my mother's uncle, Alec McLean, he was the first person to ring the bells in the cathedral.
Right.
But if he did, he was killed in the First World War. He was with the American Army, and he was in the tunnels, and armistice was called. Yeah, but there was no way to get the word into the tunnels that the war was over, so he was killed at that time. But now a cousin of mine, Alec McLean in Louth, he has been trying, but they can't locate him.
Right.
But the fact he was in America, my granny went away to America with her family because her husband died. He was an RIC man, and they went to America. But my granny and my uncle Johnny McLean, they stayed in Letterkenny. They wouldn't go.
And would there have been a lot of emigration at the time?
There must have been quite a lot of immigration now. My mother's family went. I know she had an Aunt Mary, and she went. And there was a Charlie McLean as well went, and Alec McLean.
Right. And would you have family abroad now?
And we lost all that contact.
Right.
But some family came about maybe 30 years ago, and they wanted to know about the McLean family. And they had been all around, they didn't come here, and they went into Mrs. Dorian and Galler's Hotel.
Right.
And they wanted to know about the McLeans. And Mrs. Dorian says, just across the street there was where your great-grandmother had a shop, and before she went to America, and she sold shrouds, death shrouds. That was her. Right. She was a drapery person, obviously. Yeah. And then the Harkins were very good to Mammy. They were cousins of Mammy's, and they were dressmakers, and there were 4 sisters. But on Patrick's Day, they used to make Patrick's Day badges. And the whole town went down. There wasn't a big town then to get the badges. My mother used to have to give them out.
Right.
Well, those were wee kind of things.
Yeah. But even the main street itself, what you remember must have
the main street
it's all changed.
Just a big high footpath there, and it's all changed. Like I have old programs here.
Right.
And there's maybe 40, 50 shops, and every one of them's gone. Right. Now the Port Road alone, there was Nellie Ted's at the top of the Port Road's gone. There was Johnny Boyce's, there was May Carberry's, there was Jack Harkin's, there was Cassie McDade's, there was the Commercial Paper Company, there was West's, there was Donnelly's shop. All gone.
All gone. Is there anything left in the town that you...
And the bicycle shop, Joe Harkin's bicycle shop, and he had a bicycle in the window. And Tinny's is gone too. There's another one. There's 15 shops gone.
Right.
There's nothing hardly there. Now Harry Blake's pub's there, or Harry's pub there, and no. Jerry McGee was a barber. Well, his father was a barber in the Market Square. But just to think of it, there isn't a shop left.
Right.
That,
The way you just described it there sounds like the Port Road was much busier part of the town back then.
The Port Road, I worked in the Port Road in the ESB for 35 years.
Right.
And it was as busy as could be. And John McLaughlin had a shoe shop there.
Right.
And Charlie O'Donnell had a shop opposite, and there was a shop opposite the ESB as well at one stage. And sold typewriters and that kid, well, you know, I'm talking about 30 years ago, more plus. That whole place is gone.
Right.
The grill's gone too. And they used to, where the old grill was, I'm talking the old grill's gone too, where the old grill was, there was wee tea rooms in there.
Right.
There was a woman at tea rooms.
Was the old grill on the same site?
No, the old grill was opposite where it is now. It's opposite the old grill. Bernard, let me see. There's a Chinese there now.
Oh, right.
Mm-hmm.
No, the grill was over there.
Well, that's where the first grill started, and it was just after I went to the ESB. It was in it was 40 years ago.
But was that just a restaurant? Or?
Bernard started a small restaurant, and then he had a nightclub upstairs.
Right.
And then he graduated across the street then.
Oh, right.
He bought it. There was an egg store. There was an egg store there, Moore's Egg Store, and they exported the eggs, and then it went in the market. That's gone to, and Bernard bought it and built the grill there.
Right. Well, what about the other end of the town, the lower Main Street? Was there much down there?
The lower Main Street was the hub of the town.
Right.
You had Sam Rolston's shop down there, and he was an undertaker. You had Susan McCauley's, and you had McCall's bar. You had Maggie Nee's, she sold ice cream, and they used to have a big barrel of herring outside the door as well. And there was the Devlin Hall, and then Alex Temple.
Is the Devlin Hall, is that where the St. Vincent de Paul? And what was that?
That was the Devlin Hall.
Was it a dance hall? Or?
It was a dance hall, surely to God. That was the dance hall at the time.
Right.
And then the institute was on up harder, and then there was, there was the barracks. And there was a tennis court behind the barracks, and there was 2 women worked in the barracks, and the guards stayed in the barracks as well. And that's where they stayed, Sergeant McDade and them. And then there was Harkins, they were the dressmakers. And then there was Peter McLean's, and he had a bicycle shop. I still smell the oil when you're passing it. It was a long time ago. Mrs. McDade, she had a shop. Mammy Colley had a shop. And then there was Larkin's, and then there was McKay's bar, and then there was Crumlish's. My Uncle Joey had that, and then you had the drum bar, and Anthony Clark they lived in that side too. And on a Sunday morning, they got the papers. They sold the papers from the shop, from the house that didn't have a shop at that stage. And then you went up, and there was the laundry had a place where you took in your laundry. Then there was McConnell's had a shop. Lily Sweeney had a shop, a drapery shop. McConnell's had a grocery shop. It was all cash stores. And then there was another pub, a McLaughlin's pub, and there was Nellie McLaughlin's pub. And then you had the Labour Exchange. And then you had Kitty McMenamin, and she kept boarders. And then the next house, Sadler's lived in it, but apparently, from my memory, listening to people, that was where the first telephone exchange was in the town. And then you had the Literary Institute. Well, my grandfather he was a patron of it, or an executive of it. And then you had McDuffie's, and they were down a wee bit off the road, and they had a little house there. And then the Old Tech was next, I think. Daddy went there.
The Tech?
The Tech was there. The Tech was where that hardware shop is now. And then the post office. And it was, what would you call it? McDade was the principal there. You know, the actor, his grandfather was the teacher there, but he taught Daddy and carpentry. And he was from Derry. And then you came up and in the McCafferty, I think, the hairdressing place. And then you had Eddie, and then McKee's at the pub. And then you had Eddie Knox, and he was the taxman, I think. and then you had Mall Seats, and then you had Higgins's Hotel, and you had the Bank of Ireland. That's going up the square.
You have a great memory of all the.
I would say I grew up and I remember all those things,
Right,
you know.
right.
And Daddy worked in the powerhouse for the ESB, but if he did, they had just a line from Strabane to Letterkenny. And then he was there for a while, and then when the war came, they let a few off, and he was let off, but he went then to work in the AWS. Oh, I forgot about the AWS. That was after the post office and institute.
And where did you first work in Letterkenny?
I went to Dublin in 1954 to school, at boarding school, and I came home in 59, and I went over to everybody else, and then I went to Stephen's Green then, 57 to 59, went to Tech in 59, because everybody else went to Dublin to do the commercial, but I did the opposite. I came home and I went to Tech over here, and I got a job in Kelly's that summer, 59, 60, and I started in hardware there. And you wouldn't believe it, I found all the papers yesterday about the applying for the ESB's job. The job was in the paper on a Friday, and down the street that Friday, and Vincy Callan, you have to put in for that. Joe Patterson, my auntie Mammy, and I went into Kelly. So we worked on a Saturday night then, and Billy Kelly handed me the thing out of the Dairy People, 250 a year in the ESB for this clerical officer's job. And he told me to put on and try to put in for the job, and luckily I got it. And I stayed there for 35 years.
And you enjoyed that?
Oh, sure, it was great. It was a great job.
That was on the Port Road?
That was on the Port Road, sure. Everything. It was a great, great job. And as I say, I found all the references and everything yesterday. I was looking for something else, but I'm not able to read, but I know it was in it, the magnifying glass, you know.
And then, back then, and I remember that, everybody had to come into the office to pay the bill.
Everybody
You must have known everybody in the town.
I knew everybody in the town. Not alone did you know everybody in the town, everybody that came into the town.
Right.
They would come in and be looking for babysitters. And I remember Brady Keys and me, some man, and they're so desperate they wanted to go something. It was me that used to come to, and we used to go babysitting. We didn't get any for it, but you got this tray of biscuits and tea, you know. You know, it was, we were gentry in those days.
Right. Mm-hmm. And who else worked in the ESB?
It was a girl, Bertini, she's in Derry married, and there was Audrey Graham. And Audrey's family now are into badminton. They're Rappo. And Audrey was with me for a while, and Maid Audrey came in then. She used to work, she came from Swinford at one stage, and she used to come in then temporary. And then Mary Winston and Mary Radistock, they were the last ones were with me. I had cancer, you see, in 96 and didn't go back.